Today, we are going to talk about home foreclosures and if you should buy a foreclosed home if you are a new home buyer. We will discuss some different ways that you can buy a foreclosed property and what are some things that you may have to be careful of. My name is Cherilyn Williams, a local Chicago area realtor, helping to provide home buyer education to first-time home buyers and all home buyers. If you are looking for a realtor to help you in and around the great city of Chicago, please contact me. My information is in the description below. Now, for me, I don't get asked often about home foreclosures by my clients when we initially start our home search because most people are looking for either a brand new home or a home that doesn't need much work or have many problems. But as we continue along in our home search, many of my buyers will begin to see how expensive home prices are and start to feel kind of helpless that they will never ever be able to find a home that they are looking for. And when my buyers are feeling a little discouraged, some of my buyers will ask me the question if it would be a good idea for them to consider buying a foreclosed property, because a foreclosed property can be a lot cheaper, but of course, more than likely, it may need a lot of work and renovations. So in this video, I'm not going to tell you if you should or shouldn't buy a foreclosure, but I will provide you with the facts about foreclosed homes so that you can make a well-informed decision before deciding if buying a foreclosed property is the right thing for you. So, what is a home foreclosure? A foreclosure happens when a home is taken back by a bank or lender by repossession if a homeowner stops making the mortgage payments. If a homeowner comes into financial stress, which makes them stop making their payments, like losing their job or going through a divorce or not being able to pay their property taxes, the bank will seize the property and try to sell it through means of listing it on websites or at an auction sale. Buying a foreclosed home is somewhat similar to buying a home in the traditional way, in that you have to calculate how much you can spend on a home and you will still need to save for a down payment as well as your closing costs. And you will also need to get pre-approved for a mortgage. Now, the method for finding a foreclosed home can be completely different from a traditional sale. For example, your search for foreclosed properties may start on a credit union or bank website or actually at an auction sale. Now, an auction sale is a public sale where buyers bid against each other, with the highest bidder winning the property. With the traditional way, your home search starts more often on the MLS or online real estate websites. With a foreclosure, you will typically buy the home from the bank or lender rather than from an existing homeowner. Because a foreclosed home is owned by the bank so desperately wants to get the property off their books and sell as quickly as possible to recoup some of their money. And that's why these homes are often sold at a discount. Now, buying a foreclosed home is a great way for a homeowner to find a reasonable deal. However, buying a foreclosed home can also come with some major drawbacks, so let's unpack it. When you purchase a home at an auction, you agree to buy the home as is without an appraisal or an inspection, and that could be a major drawback because you won't know how bad of shape that home could possibly be in. But you'll get a home a lot faster at an auction than you would trying to negotiate with a bank or seller. And you as the home buyer can buy a property way below market value at an auction. One thing to note is that most auctions only accept cash payments, which means you'll need a large sum of money available for the purchase at the auction. If you come across an auction that does allow for mortgage financing, it's important to have your approval ready where your income and your assets have already been verified. Now, when you buy a bank-owned property, you completely skip working with a homeowner and you purchase the property from a lender's real estate-owned inventory, which is known as REO. The lender usually clears the title and makes sure the home is vacant before you buy the property. And just to let you know, most lenders won't sell bank-owned properties directly to you, the buyer. You must speak to a realtor realtor that specializes in bank-owned properties known as an REO agent in order to see any available properties. These homes are usually sold as is, but what's cool is that you can typically view the home and order an inspection before you close, unlike with an auction. Now, you can also buy a home before it goes into foreclosure, and this is buying a home in its pre-foreclosure stage. This is a great way for a homeowner to find a home at a lower price when a property is in the early stages of foreclosure. Buying a pre-foreclosure is great for you because you are buying the home at a discount, but it also is a good situation for a homeowner because they can avoid the final stages and credit impacts of a foreclosure. Now, if you are working with a realtor, many realtors have access to pre-foreclosures through their MLS system. With a pre-foreclosure, the home may never go on the market for sale. And sometimes the current owner may be so eager to work on selling their home to you to offload the property, which presents you with a great buying opportunity. Now, you can also buy a short sale home, and this is when a homeowner sells a home for less than what they owe on the mortgage. With a short sale, a foreclosure hasn't been finalized, and if the homeowner still owns the home, you can work with their realtor. Also, when you buy a short sale home, the lender, not the homeowner, must approve your offer. And the downside of a short sale is that you may spend a lot of time waiting for approval from a bank or lender because it can be a very long process. Now, before I continue on, I just want to say thank you to all of my followers and to all of you who are tuning in, watching my real estate videos and supporting my channel. It really means so much to me. And if you are new to my channel, please consider hitting that like button, comment, sharing, and subscribing to my channel so this information can get a much further reach out to people interested in buying real estate. Now, most lenders will hand their foreclosed properties off to an REO agent who specializes in foreclosures, which we talked about. And they in turn will work with a traditional real estate agent to find a buyer. And be aware that not every real estate agent has experience working with REO agents. And although your real estate agent can help you search for foreclosures, you may want to investigate some resources for yourself. And here are several sites to help you with your search for a foreclosure, and I will link them in the description. The first one is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. And I'm sure many of you have heard of HUD before. You also have the Fannie Mae Home Path, where you can search for foreclosure listings known as Home Path properties by entering an address, a zip code, and an MLS number. And last but not least, you have the Freddie Mac's Home Steps program. So be sure to check these programs out if you're interested in buying a foreclosure. And just so you know, buying a foreclosed home is much riskier than buying an owner-occupied home. And here are some of the major risks. There may be increased maintenance concerns because foreclosed homes may have been neglected by their previous owners because they realized they couldn't make the payments anymore, and they may have neglected taking care of the home because they knew they were going to lose it anyway. And because foreclosed homes are sold as is, you will be responsible for doing major renovations that can be costly and very time consuming. Now, if you can do the work yourself, that can be a great way to keep your costs lower. But if you can't do the work and you may have to hire a contractor to do the work and repairs, that could be a large chunk of money out of your pockets. So if you don't have enough cash to invest in a foreclosed home, in my opinion, you shouldn't buy one. Another thing that can happen and you may have to consider are squatters. They may have taken over a vacant home that was unoccupied for too long. And you can try and evict a squatter, but often that is a very long and lengthy process as well. Now let's talk about the considerations before buying a home foreclosure. You know, I say nowadays you really have to be careful buying a foreclosed home because often these homes need a lot of work. Back maybe 10 or 20 years ago, you could find a pretty decent and affordable foreclosure that maybe just needed a little cosmetic work, and it, you know, probably didn't have as many problems. I know my mother bought an investment property that was a foreclosure, and the condo was very nice inside and it didn't need much work. And that was back like in the early 2000s or so. But now we have the corporate investors buying, you know, properties to rent them out. We have high home prices, low inventory, and it's harder to find a foreclosed property that doesn't need a lot of work. If it doesn't need a lot of work or repairs or renovations, the home is going to get snatched up pretty quickly in a very competitive market. So now you have to be very aware of a property that may harbor hidden problems. That's why if you are buying a foreclosure outside of an auction sale, a good inspection is going to be vital to raise awareness of what needs attention before you purchase that home. When looking and inspecting a foreclosed home, always consider the foundation by noticing if the floors are uneven or the doors are out of alignment. Check the frame of the house, which includes the walls, the ceilings, and the stairs. Be sure to check the HVAC system and all of the electrical components. Of course, the roof could have leaks and damaged shingles, and let's not forget the plumbing and the piping as well. So buying a foreclosed property is a great way for you to find a deal, but it can also cause a headache if you don't know what you are doing. So be sure you have a great real estate agent and a real estate attorney to help you. And just realize that a foreclosed property can be a money pit if you are not careful. Thank you for watching and happy home shopping.